And we're streaming live now on Facebook.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Happy Friday, December 4th. As we are in days where it starts getting darker earlier right now, Shabbat jumps up upon us sooner than it has been. So thanks for making us a part of your early evening, late afternoon, as you're preparing for Shabbat.
It is really strange how early it gets dark. And, you know, in the morning in our house is so quiet, like we're not rushing out. So it feels sort of like we get a late start and then an early end. It's like the days seem quite short.
Yeah, I know I'm not a personal fan of the early days.
Right.
I like it to stay lighter and
Yes. How do you all feel about the early darkness? You know, some people kind of like the coziness of the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're one who likes to, right, and end the day early, and if you're one of those people who go to bed early anyway, then it's good for me. It just feels like less time to do everything that I want to do.
I hear you.
It feels later at 5 o'clock or at 6 o'clock. It just feels like 9. And then I'm sitting there going, you know, I don't want to be tired at 6 o'clock. I want to be.
Yeah, totally. Well, welcome to everyone who's signing in. Hi, Jay. Hi, Rachel. Great to have you guys here with us. If you're just joining us, feel free to say hello in the comments so we can greet you. And thank you for being here.
We thank you for coming back after our 2-week hiatus. We had our own little Thanksgiving break. I know Sharon was a traveler. She decided to venture out for things.
I was a bit of a traveler. It was kind of a COVID trip, but it was good. We went up to Oregon to pick up our oldest daughter Joanna from college, and so lots of time in the car, and we rented a house up in Oregon. So it was beautiful up there. Still kind of quarantined, just our family, but it was nice to be in a different place, just our family.
It's amazing how that becomes, right? That is the new standard of what you want from a vacation is
right.
Just to be out of your home. That constitutes a vacation. It's a change of scenery.
How was your Thanksgiving, Eric?
Ours was good. There's another family that we kind of, I don't say we bubble together, but we're like-minded in terms of how we are handling everything and protocols. And so we went camping.
Nice.
We were up in not quite Northern California, but a couple hours south of Sacramento. And
very nice.
It's called San Luis Reservoir Dam, which we'd never been. It was a really cool area. There were some elk that were
cool
that were around, and then people could go fishing in the dam, and it's a bunch of kids playing together, and we did some hiking and walking around and ate some s'mores. And I tried to actually I brought a turkey breast that I had a fantasy about. After watching cooking shows, I prepared it and wrapped it up really well in tin foil. And I had this idea that I would stick it near the campfire and that it would slowly roast.
How did that work out?
Yeah, it didn't work out. It just went from raw to burnt. And
it skipped everything in between, huh?
It skipped everything in between. I guess the fire was really hot. It was really cold, so very hot fire. And I just, for some reason, had this fantasy. Maybe if I would have buried it like they do when they cook some, the desert, the Bedouins, they cook goat and other things by burying it under the. Maybe if I did that, but I had it too close to the fire, and it was. I was really sad. I was sifting through it and sifting through the burnt pieces, just trying to get a little taste of of Thanksgiving turkey.
That's funny. Well, our family, if it makes you feel any better, our family skipped the turkey altogether. We decided to just have a meal of sides because We don't
Best
mix
part
milk,
anyway.
we don't mix milk and meat. And so we decided that we would just go with the full-on dairy side. So we had like butter in our mashed potatoes, and we had the green bean casserole with the cream of mushroom soup. And those are things we don't usually have because we typically have a meat meal. But we skipped Thanksgiving turkey and went right for the sides. It was pretty good.
Nice. And a lot of people think those are the best parts. That's the best part.
Exactly.
I know we make a sweet potato casserole that, which is all butter and brown sugar and everything else that.
Right.
And we actually brought 2 of those up for camping to share with people, knowing that those are popular for Thanksgiving, for lunch, for dinner, and I didn't burn those. So we kept those good.
That's funny. Well, greetings to everyone who's joined us as we've been chatting a little bit about our Thanksgivings. Hello to Sheila and to my dad, Bruce is online. And also Greg Endelman is watching for some mysterious reason. He signed on today.
You're trying to promote his class on Sunday.
That must be it, yes. But we are glad to be back now after Thanksgiving as we enter into the month of December. Although it is getting dark early, it doesn't mean that we're not busy with lots of temple programs that are coming up. So even this weekend, we're back to our kind of regular programming with Shabbat services tonight, Torah study, Shabbat services tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow night is going to be really extraordinary. We are welcoming back our friend and musician, Dan Nichols, who has been with, at Temple Israel, both in person and virtually several times now. I think this may be like his 4th visit to our congregation.
I think it was in July or so that he led a Havdalah. He was with us for Havdalah.
Yeah. It
was such an amazing evening where I think he did 3 or 4 songs on top of Havdalah. And especially because of the timing and when that was, just having something like that was so special.
Yeah.
And this time we get actually, I think, a full concert. So it'll really be a treat. Not only will he lead us in Havdalah, but he's going to be doing a real concert for our community. So it's something people should tune in for.
Yeah, please join us tomorrow night. I can't wait.
And then we also have, like I just mentioned, we do have Greg and Lisa Endelman will be leading a JJL class on this Sunday evening on striving for resiliency. It's a 2-part series, right, Sharon?
A 2-part series, exactly. There's another one in a couple of months. So please join us Sunday night. Both Greg and Lisa are therapists and professionals who work with teens, and they're going to be talking about teen mental health, but also just how we as adults really strive for that sense of, striving for resiliency, but just really how are we hanging in there during these challenging times, and what are some strategies that we can use to try and get through the dark days.
And then we have a movie discussion coming up as well. Really interesting. I haven't seen the movie, but the topic of it sounds great. It's called About Face: Jewish Refugee Soldiers in the Allied Forces.
Yeah, super interesting topic. I've seen part of the movie, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. And this conversation is going to be facilitated by Barry Mitnick, who is is a former Georgia Jewish Learning chairperson. So yeah, please join us for that. You just need to watch the movie in advance.
The rabbi is going to continue his troubled times, also dealing with, as the community can tell, we're really trying to help people get through these challenging times, whether either with resiliency or contemplation or working through it. So we're trying to give many opportunities, hopefully opportunities also to join us and laugh and just be able to take a breath and a step away. But if you need some deeper thinking, you'll have an opportunity to do that with
This is not the opportunity for deeper thinking. This is not, if you're looking for deeper thinking, come back a different day.
We do have some discussions that are deeper thinking. This is our welcome back from Thanksgiving break conversation. So this one's more fun. And we're leading into Hanukkah. I mean,
Yay,
we
Hanukkah!
need to get our lighter our lighter side up, light literally, right?
Yes, no pun intended, right? Yeah, Hanukkah, I mean, it's amazing. I love the fact that it comes really, comes of course, it comes at a time every year where it is literally the darkest time of year. And we are purposefully lighting it up, both with candles and with hopefully acts of loving kindness. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Hanukkah. I think it'll bring a lot of joy to our community during these somewhat challenging times. And yeah, we took out all of our Hanukkah decorations yesterday at around our house. So we're all decked out for Hanukkah here. And I know the temple is looking forward to some special things for Hanukkah too. I think we'll be sending out an email probably in the next couple of days with our plans for Hanukkah. So be on the lookout for that, everyone.
Yeah, there's going to be a concert and candle lightings. We're participating in the community Hanukkah service next week. And then actually this Hanukkah, it falls over 2 Fridays. We have 2 Shabbats that Hanukkah is a part of. So we're going to do one community Shabbat service with the other synagogues and the JCC and Jewish Long Beach, and then we have one of our own where I know we're welcoming back for at least they're doing a recording for us and maybe some other things, is our Got Shabbat band, and Kendra and Barry have put something together for the December 18th Shabbat service. Yeah,
so lots of great things to look forward to. It's going to be a really fun Hanukkah for sure. Yeah, and speaking of Hanukkah, in case people hadn't heard this yet, Eric, I don't know if you had heard this yet, that next year, Hanukkah starts particularly early. Of course, Hanukkah's never on time, right? It's either early or late.
No Jewish holidays.
It's never right on time. But Hanukkah starts on November 28th next year. And Thanksgiving is November 25th. So although we will not actually have the official Thanksgiving like we did a few years ago, where they actually coincided, it will be a Thanksgiving weekend. So that's fun to look forward to.
Fine. So we'll have latkes at our Thanksgiving.
Something like that. Or at least latkes with your Thanksgiving leftovers.
Maybe there you go, right.
Yeah. So greetings to a few other people that have joined us. You've got Bobby Horowitz is here. Cantor Haas is hanging out with us too. So hi guys, great to have you here.
I don't know. Well, it seems like all the news about the virus and the continued stay-at-home orders and everything, we had actually, Sharon, you and I and the rest of the staff, we were trying to plan doing programming back together. And now it just seems like we're in a place where it's going to be more extended time of Zoom and doing programs. And, I don't know if you know this, but I've had a bit of an obsession with masks.
Okay.
So because you're standing.
Sorry, Zuko is very excited about masks.
So, like your standard masks, they're not very friendly, right? So I've been looking at these masks and I actually had bought them for all the staff, but no one liked them. I really think it's important for people to see each other's mouths. So I tried this one out. This is a mask where you can't hear me anymore. It's not bad. What people don't like about it and is that a lot of times when you speak, you spit. So it's like they need a windshield wiper, that. And then I was like, well, that one's also a bit uncomfortable. So I went and bought this one.
Wow.
I'm a stormtrooper. So
because it gets all steamed up every time, so it kind of defeats the purpose because you still can't see your mouth.
So I don't know if I should get an anti-fogger for this one, but if someone has a good mask out there because since we are in this for several more months, I'm really in search of that mask where I feel like people can communicate with each other and actually see each other's mouths. So if you know of something, or if you see of something online, let me know. I'm one of those people who will probably buy it and try it out.
That one is pretty funny, that last one, I have to say. Funny. Well, I hope everyone is staying safe, and doing the best they can to help other people maintain their safety as well. Jay O'Hadith is suggesting that we should do a mask with a temple logo. That's a good suggestion, Jay.
We could. That may be a porn bag.
Right.
Thing, or maybe for part of the membership drive-by, maybe we'll do that as part of the challah pickup as a mask.
Come get your mask.
So those are different options, absolutely. And yeah, so just everyone out there know that the temple's really, we are really hoping and working for that time that we can be back together. But we can just all be patient, and we're really trying to do all we can to keep everybody together and safe and connected. And we're also open for anybody's advice and words. And if you have suggestions about things that you'd like to see and things that you'd like to see the temple do, please don't hesitate to reach out to Sharon and I. We are creative, but there's and our staff is creative, and we have a lot of resources, but we're always looking for new ideas and new energy and different.
For sure. And speaking of that, if anyone has any suggestions of our future guests for Anything Goes, we'd love to hear your ideas. Many of our recent guests have been suggested by our viewers, so please let us know. We'd love to hear your suggestions, and we will look forward to hearing all those great names. Speaking of future episodes, we do have our guests for next week already lined up, and that's going to be the amazing Harriet Ellis. And a lot of you know Harriet. She is a longtime member of our community and is an amazing storyteller, and I can't wait to have her on Anything Goes. I think she's watching the show right now. And so greetings to you, Harriet. We can't wait to have our conversation next Friday.
So we are going to be going from, and we should soon bring in our who is a teen member of our congregation to one of our more stately members next week. And we look forward to interviewing Harriet, and I'm sure that will be an amazing conversation. One of those conversations we're going to have to cut off just because of your
but that comment, Eric, just makes me think about really the beauty of this congregation, right? That we have such a wide range of ages and people within our congregation.
Yeah. So let's bring in the teen side of it.
Let's do it. All right. There he is. Hey, Jacob.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, welcome to Anything Goes.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. This is so exciting. You're on live television. Well, almost.
Could you ever imagine that you would be a guest on Temple Israel's Shabbat Anything Goes?
It never occurred to me. Never.
It's one of those things that, it's spreading like wildfire throughout the community, and we chose you, and we appreciate you coming in and taking some time with us. For everybody at home, let me give a brief introduction of Jacob, and then we'll get going with our conversation. So, Jacob Endelman is a senior at Los Alamitos High School. He's attended our Temple Israel Torah Center since 4th grade, and he continues to be active in both our Torah Center 11th and 12th grade class, as well as our teen leadership. He is currently a madrich for 7th grade Judaica, and also served as a madrich for 1st grade and 3rd grade in past years. Jacob takes pride in being an active member of this community now for roughly 8 years, which has allowed him to build many friendships, enjoy some fun experiences, and gain a better understanding of his Judaism. And he has a lot to share. I think that bio is actually doesn't, I don't think, touch on anything really that keeps Jacob busy. So welcome, Jacob. We look forward to talking to you and hearing all about everything. So first thing we like to ask is just, how are you? I know it's, we're now 9 months into the pandemic, or approaching 9 months into the pandemic. So how are you doing through it all? And how's your adjustment been?
Yeah, we are. It's crazy to think how long it's been. I think that a lot's changed, but I think I've been able to experience new things that I wouldn't have otherwise, such as being able to learn online in an academic way. And just how I'm doing in general, I'm doing pretty good. Like I've said a lot, I've been spending a lot of time on the computer, but I find it to be the safe option. So I'm not complaining about that, and I'm happy to be here. So thank you.
So you chose, or your family chose a full, because you're you're at Los Alamitos High School, right? And Los Alamitos High School and Los Alamitos School District had the option, right, of doing a hybrid learning program or doing full virtual or what have you.
Right.
And how was that decision made by you, or was it made by your family, or how did that go?
It was made by me and confirmed by my parents. My sister, she's going in person to her middle school, and then I kind of I think my parents were, I don't want to say indifferent, because of course they care, but they kind of gave me the choice whether I wanted to stay home or go in person, and I just kind of said, I think you'd be, I would feel the safest being at home. So, and they honored that. So yeah, I'm at home, but my sister, she's going in person and the hybrid.
Okay.
Nice. So Jacob, I know that Go ahead, Aaron.
No, I was just wondering if that causes any, it's like, you're being home and you're being safe. Do you make everybody disinfect when they come home? And
I don't make them, but I certainly hope they do. But I will say that my school, the high school, has almost a COVID case almost every day. But the school that my sister's at, I don't think they've had a case this year. So that does reassure me a little bit.
That's great. So you are still talking to your sister. You're willing to be in the same room as her.
And your parents, right? So
they work at schools too. So
unless you just have TV screens all around your house, and then you just it's sort of like Star Trek, where you just zoom people and pull up a screen with them.
Now, Jacob, I know that you are involved with a lot of different activities that kind of fill out your life in addition to school. I'm curious to kind of know what all those activities are looking like in this unique year. Maybe you can share with us some of the things that you have been involved with previously, and then how those things have changed or remain the same this year.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that I've done since around 5th grade was show choir. It's most of the schools in my school district really emphasize that place. Show choir is a special place in the families, the hearts of the families of many people in my district. And so I've been able to perform on stage, be surrounded by groups of 50, 60, 70 other people. And of course, this year that's changed. And originally they were actually not even going to have a choir for the people that were online. But my choir director is very good on making sure everybody's included, and he didn't want to punish us in a way for staying to our comfort level. He didn't want to punish us in that sense, so he opened a choir for us, and for just the Lost Al at Home, that's what we call ourselves, Lost Al at Home students. So of course we don't get together in person, everything's just on Zoom, but and that's very different. And it's not worse necessarily. It's just different. It's nice to be able to hear yourself sometimes perform, but then you're also missing the feeling of camaraderie of having everyone physically around you.
Right.
Yeah. And then another thing that's really changed is Boy Scouts. And I've been fortunate enough to have been a Boy Scout all the way up to Eagle Scout. And I've been a Boy Scout since 6th grade. And that's changed largely because we moved online. And So what happens in my troop is during the summer, we go to Rush Park, which is just a park in the Rossmore neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually went back to in-person meetings there because we figured it's outside, we can social distance, stuff like that. But now that it's getting darker earlier during the day, we decided to make the move back to the community center, which is where we normally have our meetings. But the city's actually not opening the community center yet, so we're back to Zoom right now. So everything's a little bit in flux, but yeah.
Got it.
And my son is in the Boy Scouts also, and it's just been, I know it's been challenging for him. I think the online experience is so not what the Boy Scouts is about. It's really about being out in the community and doing and the adventures and earning of different badges and different activities. I know for the younger kids, I don't know how it works for the Eagle Scouts, and maybe you guys are more focused and on top of it, but I know the younger kids, it just sort of dissolves into a wanting to do online gaming together. But at least they're hanging out together and they're doing things together.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at the heart of it all, scouting really is about being together. So kind of like you said, if there is a silver lining here, it's that at least they're finding a way to still meet and have fun together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jacob, what did you end up doing for your Eagle Scout project?
Yes, so there's a local dog park, and I have 3 dogs, so we go there pretty often. I'm not anymore so much, but we used to go pretty often. And the park's been around for a while, and not a lot of care by the city was given attention to it. So there wasn't any play structures. There was kind of a big grassy area, but even then it was mostly dirt. Mm-hmm. So what we did was we built a bunch of play structures for the dogs, such as ramps and a PVC pipe wind through. And then we also, so like I said, it was mainly dirt. And so around the water fountains, dogs don't drink nicely like humans do. So they get water all over the place, and that leads to mud. And so one of the biggest complaints that my family would have, and a lot of people would have, is we'd have to come home, bring the dogs back in the car, get mud in the car, and then have to wash the dogs. So it was a big hassle. It turned into an all-day event when it didn't need to be. So what we did was we kind of redid the irrigation system. So what we did, we dug up around the water fountain area, and we put in sand and fresh dirt and I think it's called pea gravel. And so that way, so when the water eventually spills out of the bowls when the dogs are drinking, it doesn't create mud, and it just drains nicely.
So great.
Yeah, that's a great project.
It's really nice.
It was very fun.
Did you do that project on your own, or were you working with others who were?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to have a really large group of people that helped me. Of course, they gave the Boy Scout the role of planning everything and getting everything organized, but my Scoutmaster had to remind me of this several times, but during the project's work, the Boy Scout is not supposed to be doing any of the actual labor, because the whole idea is we're supposed to be leading other people, telling them what to do. And also the idea is if we're working, someone's not. So I was fortunate to have about 20-ish people help me.
Wow.
And my older cousin, he's an engineer, so he was very helpful because especially with the irrigation stuff, digging everything up, that was kind of out of my knowledge, out of my realm. So his help, and then of course the physical labor of carting a bunch of gravel and stuff like that. So yes, very fortunate to have a large group of people helping me.
Nice. Last year when the pandemic struck and it was in March, everyone had all this compassion and sympathy for the high school seniors, right? Oh, it's their senior year. And at the time, it seemed like, of course, it would just be those seniors, right? And that by the fall, you guys would be back in class and back in school in a regular way. It turns out that those seniors really only had to endure it for, was it 3 months or so, right? Yeah, it's about 3 months. And you guys are looking like it's, going to end up being a year-long struggle, like most likely. How would you say your friend group is kind of hanging in there during this time? Are you guys feeling like you're staying connected, or has it been difficult?
So my friend group is, I have a friend group that stems from choir. And some of us have known each other since elementary school. Some of us have just incorporated the others into the group once we've gone to high school. But there's about 12 of us in the group, which is a fairly large friend group to maintain, I'd say, especially because we all consider each other kind of our best friend. So some of us are in person still, some of us are like me and completely online. And so the way we've kind of maintained touch is just through text. A lot of text, a lot of playing online games together. So yeah, it's been difficult because we haven't seen each other in person, but I know some of my friends have organized some like bike rides together, stuff like that.
Very nice.
So you are getting out of the house doing some stuff, right? You're not. Yeah.
Yes, I'm not completely quarantined in the walls of my house.
That's good. Fresh air is important. I tell that to when my kids are in front of their computers a lot. I'm like, take a break, go outside, at least get some fresh air and play some basketball, do something. And then how is so as a senior, you've also had to, now is the time you're applying to colleges and doing that. How has that been? And do you still plan to go visit colleges? I know that's part of the choice when you're deciding on places. How is that all going to work?
So as for the admission process, I'm lucky to have completed most of it at this point. I still need to apply for some scholarships. I wasn't able to take the SAT or ACT, which I was mainly going for scholarship opportunities. So I'm still working on scholarships. But as for actual applications, I've completed all of them. So, I'm very fortunate that both of my parents are educators and have a lot of knowledge about applying to college and can give some really invaluable advice there. So I was helped in a lot of ways. And then as for college visits, I'm mostly doing virtual visits. Before the pandemic, I was able to visit Chapman and University of San Diego. So I've visited a few different campuses, definitely not all of them that I applied to. And I don't necessarily plan on visiting them in person, but definitely doing virtual tours.
Are you looking for a smaller school, or you think or bigger school, or just you're open to? And what are you looking to study? Actually, do you have a major in mind?
Yeah, so I'm looking to go into political science. And then on the college applications, actually, they give you an option. Okay, so if you don't get into your first major, what's your second major? So the second major, I put psychology. Just I feel like that's something that's very deep rooted into my family, both my parents. So political science and psychology, and then sorry, what was the other part of the question?
No, it's just if you were looking into smaller schools or both small and large, and that wasn't really a factor.
I think I'm fairly open. I know my parents think a smaller school will be better for me, just the more personalized education you get with a smaller university. But the schools I applied to, I'm going to be happy at all of them, and some of them are larger. So I'm pretty open.
I remember when I was applying for schools, they said actually choose less popular majors. That was actually a strategy to get into. So surprised you didn't choose musical theater or something as a backup major. So
yeah,
that would be a diverse application.
It would, yeah, definitely.
Let's go back and submit them all again. Jacob, I'm sitting here and thinking about all the years that we've known one another, and I'm remembering your fourth grade self coming into the temple all those years ago, and I'm just, really so proud of all the growth that you've been able to make over all these years, and you are a really valuable part of our temple community. Can you share with our audience a little bit about your involvement at the temple and things that you've had a chance to do there, and perhaps, anything you've taken away from that experience?
Yeah, so as was mentioned at the top of this broadcast, so when I came in, I've been part of Temple Israel and Torah Center since fourth grade. And the introduction to Temple Israel for me was really great. I felt very welcomed. Mrs. Arana was my teacher, and she was very, very good, very pleasant to be around just as another human being, but also very knowledgeable. And the same thing with the students in my class. I think that I'm a madrich for the 7th grade class now, and they have a very large class, but my class, I don't think has ever exceeded the 15 student mark. And so I find that extremely valuable I've been able to create so many relationships with a lot of the other kids. And coming into Temple as a 4th grader, I was worried that maybe that might not happen because a lot of these kids had been going to Temple Israel and Torah Center since they were in preschool, kindergarten. But so yeah, and then when I came into Temple, it was actually, I believe the school was called Westerly. The Temple was under construction, so I didn't get to come to the Temple until maybe the end of 4th grade or 5th grade. But I think that made the experience all that more special because I was able to kind of started in a position where I was experiencing the Temple for the first time, so to speak, with all my peers. And then since then, yeah, I had my bar mitzvah, which is, that's obviously one of the pinnacles of being a young Jewish person and really the pinnacles of being a Jew in general. And then I've had the extremely valuable opportunities of being a madrich for 1st grade under Mrs. Michaels, and more Rebecca, who's in that position now, and 3rd grade with Mrs. Martin, and now I'm in 7th grade with more Rachel and more Linda, and I'm really enjoying myself. I and my sister, like I think I mentioned, but she's in the 7th grade class, and so I think it's a good fitting way for me to go out and see that even though this is my last year as a Torah Center student, I'm still going to have roots in this temple for at least the next 5 years, but realistically, unless my family moves away or something unforeseen happens, Temple Israel is going to be a part of my life for the rest of it. So, and I'm very grateful that I've been able in the past, since 4th grade, I've been able to create those type of relationships where I'm going to say, this is somewhere that I want to be.
That's so great. Speaking of lifelong connections to Temple Israel, I know that your parents have a long history with the Jewish community in Long Beach and with Temple Israel. And can you tell us a little bit about your understanding of their connection from when they were young?
Yeah, so my parents actually met through Nifty. It was called something different back then.
Skifty.
Yes, so they were actually the presidents of their regional boards, and that's how they actually met. So yeah, and they'll openly admit that they not necessarily lost their Judaism, but lost the connection to the temple atmosphere for a while. And I think that when I got reintroduced in 4th grade to coming to Temple Israel, that's also when they got reintroduced. And since then, we've all been having a really great time at Temple Israel. But yeah, so they've definitely been a part of Temple Israel and the Jewish community for the entirety of their lives, and same thing with their parents. So it's really a long lineage of people who not just Temple Israel, but have really valued their Jewish identity.
Yeah,
really so much so your father's on the board of the temple right now, and
yes.
They're actually, and then they're co-leading a class this Sunday for our Joys of Jewish Learning program. So we can see where you get some of your, your Jewish community, and did you ever, you said you're enjoying being a madrich. Have you had summer camp counselor experience, or your summers, are they filled with other things?
So I haven't gone to a Jewish summer camp, but in terms of being a camp counselor at summer camps, I've done stuff with scouting at the Long Beach Sea Base. I was a CIT, a counselor in training there, and then last summer I was a counselor in training at what's it called? This is bad. The Long Beach Marine Institute, which is right next to it. So yeah, so I spent a lot of time volunteering in the Long Beach area right there. And a lot of the kids that are at the Long Beach Sea Base and at the Long Beach Marine Institute also go to Temple Israel. And then a lot of them are my Boy Scout troop back in Los Alamitos. So being a camp counselor there, I've definitely used some of the same skills that I use as a madrich, and that as a madrich, I use some of the skills I've learned there. So yeah.
That's one of the great things about being part of the Jewish community, is that you can sort of take it with you to different things that you love, and especially a community like Temple Israel, we we're out there. We have a lot of members who are doing and interested in a lot of different things. So it's great that you're taking your leadership experience and you're exposing yourself to different things, to the sea base and to here at the temple. So, and then you're involved in the teen council here too at the temple, right?
Yes. So last year I was on the teen council as the Madrahim representative to the board of directors. So that was a really good experience. I enjoyed sitting in on some of those meetings, the board meetings, hearing some of, as a Torah Center student, we surround ourselves with people our age, and sometimes we don't get the interactions that are really valuable from the older members of our community, and not necessarily older in a derogatory sense, but just, my parents' age even.
He's not talking about us. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
I just, it's really good to surround yourself with people that are in positions that, that you might see yourself one day. I definitely think that if I do stay with Temple Israel, which I definitely do, hope I am able to do. I don't know where life's going to take me, but of course I definitely want to be involved with Temple. And I think that being a teen council, Madrahim representative to the board definitely gave me that vision.
Great.
I can tell you, Jacob, that, and I know that there's a couple of board members that Bobby is watching and your dad is watching, but I think we'd all agree that our board members probably have stuff to learn from you as well, because your presentations at the board, your preparedness and the way you came into a meeting, and just your presentations were so just right on, and you just seemed so comfortable and so present in what you were doing and what you were explaining, that it was really a joy to have you at the board meetings.
Thank you.
We'll save you a seat at the board table, for whenever you want to come back. So speaking of leadership things, I know you've mentioned your interest in political science. I know you've been involved with some local campaigns. And what was the motivation for you to become interested in politics?
So from a young age, being completely honest, my parents always told me that I love to argue. And so that kind of got me interested in the law side of it. And then, so come high school, I joined Model United Nations, and that incorporates law, but also some politics. And I don't know, I just kind of love the intersection of those two, law and politics. And right now I'm taking AP Government and Politics, and I've only had less than a semester in that class, but it's by far my favorite class that I've ever taken. And then like you said, I've volunteered on some political campaigns locally and at the national level. So those experiences have been invaluable to me. So yeah, so I think that just from a young age, I've been kind of enamored with the idea of people being able to lead other people for good causes. So so yeah, that's kind of where I get that passion.
Was it a year for you with the presidential election, and then did you get very involved in just that whole process and just understanding what was going on in terms of the political environment?
I think definitely the class that I'm in right now at school, AP Government and Politics, definitely helped me understand more of what's going on this year. I feel like this is definitely the first election that I have the most passion about, and also have the most knowledge about. Of course, we were, I don't want to say forced, because it was, it was an experience to watch, but we were asked to watch the debates.
That was kind of, I could see that feel sort of being forced. I really like to watch the debates, and I had no desire really to watch the debates this year, but go ahead. So
yeah, and
for a class, so that's good.
Yeah, and then also Josh Lowenthal, who's a member of the Temple. I volunteered for his campaign when he was running for state assembly, and that was especially special because I didn't even know this going into it when I signed up to be an intern with the campaign. But his youngest daughter, his middle daughter, was actually in the first grade class, which I was the madrich for at that time. So that was kind of like, oh, what a pleasant surprise. So
that's cool. Josh was a guest on Anything Goes a couple months ago, so you're following in his footsteps. That's exciting. So could you see yourself getting involved with politics, like working on campaigns or perhaps running for office someday?
I think that right now my more near goal when I go to college is maybe to go into law, like a lawyer. But I do see myself eventually. I definitely do have an interest of getting into government. I don't know if that's going to be. I don't necessarily know if that's going to stop at me being on a campaign or if I will become a politician myself. It's definitely an interest. I definitely admire the people who are politicians. They put a lot of effort into their campaigns. So
for sure. Yeah, I know a young woman who's actually this year, maybe it was last year, she was the vice president of Ohio State University and their student government. Seemed like a really big position and opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, the student government on the college campuses is super important. I know that if that's something that you're interested in, like they have a lot of responsibility and manage big budgets, etc.
Yeah, I definitely hope to join student government, or some colleges even have a Model United Nations, so definitely continuing that.
That's great.
That's really interesting. Tell me about just the Model United Nations. Is it just looking at world affairs, and then from the perspective of different nations? How does the Model United Nations work? That sounds like an interesting thing.
Yeah, so most of the schools around us, especially in California, most of the schools who have Model United Nations, they have it as an actual class, part of the curriculum. At Los Alamitos High School, it's a club, so we meet weekly at lunch, and so yeah, just kind of the format of it. There's conferences during conference season. There's probably a conference once every month, maybe once every month and a half. And so yeah, so there will be like at one of the high schools in Long Beach or Huntington Beach, or we host our own too, or just really anywhere in Southern California. Or even New York, but my MUN club will travel to these conferences, and we'll learn. We're assigned a country, so almost never do we get the United States, which is, in my opinion, awesome because we get to learn about other countries and things that we don't even consider, like what's the Indian policy on space exploration. So that's super important, especially someone who might eventually want to go into government, being able to understand how other countries function and how they think. And so, yeah, so we go to conferences, and we'll, and I also really like about MUN, it's not necessarily an argument. It's not a debate. It's more of talking with each other to come to a resolution. And I find that valuable. So yeah, I definitely love my time at MUN.
That's really neat. And then also giving you
awesome.
Yeah, and then just to have and gain a perspective of beyond what U.S. policy might be, and give you a sense of what are important issues in other areas of the world is really, I think that's an important resource. It's give you perspective of other things. Sharon, do we have any questions for
not so many questions, just a lot of people that are like super impressed with all the wonderful activities that you are engaged with. Bobby Horwitz and JL Haddoff, Rachel Van Raal, some of your fans are on here who are just, doing a lot of shout outs. So you have to go back and look at some of their nice comments when we're done.
Thank you.
Eric, I don't know about you, but I just can't wait to see what Jacob is going to do next. Like, there's just so many, Jacob, I just feel like there are so many awesome possibilities for you, to explore based on all these different interests that you have and experiences that you've already been able to have really in your young life so far. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. And I would regret not saying that. I would regret not being able to reiterate my thankfulness for you both, and really the whole Temple community, and being able to give me so many avenues and so many different ways to get involved. And I think that's the amount of involvement that I've been able to have at Temple Israel has really inspired me to be involved in other facets of life. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Well,
that's all, Sharon. It's far not.
It's a little bit you, Eric. It's okay. You can just say you're welcome.
Thank you, Jake. Jacob, you do so many, you're involved in so many different things. Is there one thing or a couple that are really your things that you love, that if given a choice, this is and not academic, unless academics can be part of it. It could be reading a book. But are there activities that you really love and enjoy spending time doing
that's hard, because I do think that in a sense I like teaching. I think that not necessarily teaching, but leading, being with a group of people. I really value, as a Madrich and as an Eagle Scout now, one of the main roles in Boy Scouts that I have is to help the younger Scouts, teach them, help encourage them to continue on. So I guess in the sense of something that I enjoy doing is leading and teaching and helping. And then as for hobbies, I'm going to be honest, this is going to make me sound really boring, but I'm not super passionate about any specific hobbies. Although I will say that WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, I actually kind of regret saying a few seconds ago I don't have a hobby, because that's one of my biggest passions for as long as I can remember is professional wrestling.
To hook you up with my son, because not only does he love to argue, but he loves the WWE. I think he's 11, but I could probably babysit or anything. But can I stick you guys in a room together? Well,
and he's a Boy Scout. They're both Boy Scouts.
And he's a Boy Scout too. So
I think that being or liking WWE definitely contributes to the tendency to argue.
I'll never forget, Jacob, when I found out about your interest in wrestling. It's like I'd never had a student who had a particular passion around that. And so I love that is like this kind of eccentric, unique interest of yours. It just kind of adds to the awesome fabric that makes up Jacob Endelman. So it's so fun.
That and your drumming, right, Jacob?
Yeah.
And the
drums in the background?
Yeah, yes. I drum a lot. I died.
Yeah, Jacob shared with us beforehand that those are awesome drums that don't get really any use. So. But they look cool on your Zoom background.
I wish I had drums in my background. Well, Jacob, you said you've also watched some of or you've at least watched one of our older shows. So we conclude each episode by asking a list of questions that were inspired by a show that you're far too young to have seen, called The Actors Studio. But they're just questions that we throw out there. You speak what's on your mind and give the answer off the top of your head. And it's sort of a fun way to sign off and check it out. So are you ready for the questions?
I am.
All right. So the first question is, what is your favorite word?
Oh, onomatopoeia.
Well, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Can you spell it? I can.
onomatopoeia.
Oh, very nice. I will just say you're right. I don't really know, but
yeah, I don't know. We'll have to. Somebody at home will have to spell check that. But given your background, I'm going to assume that that's correct. Jacob, what's your least favorite word?
Flesh. I think it's flesh. I think it's the SH at the end of the word that, I don't know, kind of makes my skin crawl.
No pun intended.
What sound or noise do you love?
I like the sound of rain.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
And then what sound or noise do you hate?
The clipping of nails.
Mm.
Oh, these are good.
These are really good answers.
I know. Let's see the next one. So if you weren't a student right now, I'm gonna have to rephrase this for you. And if you weren't a student right now and could be doing any profession, what would it be?
Realistically, something in law, maybe a lawyer, but a totally unattainable goal would be a professional wrestler.
Start doing push-ups.
I have to interrupt really quickly. Jacob, did you happen to see the movie The Peanut Butter Falcon?
I haven't.
It's a new movie. It's on either Amazon or Netflix, and we watched it over Thanksgiving. And there is, I forgot until right now, there is a whole wrestling. There's a character in the movie who wants to be a wrestler, and it's worth watching. You have to check it out.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
It's called what, Sharon?
The Peanut Butter Falcon. It's a very unusual name. I won't tell you where the name comes in. You eventually figure it out why they picked that title. But yeah, it's a good movie.
Okay. All right. I wrote the name down.
Okay.
We'll have the they'll send checks to Sharon Amsterdam. All right, so that's great. So what profession would you definitely not like to do?
Oh, maybe an accountant. Yeah.
You're very young for this question, but gonna ask it anyway. So if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Oh, something along the lines of, let me introduce you to your family. I don't know. I just kind of have the idea of, I lost my little brother when I was young, and I lost my grandfather, and my mom always told me they're watching down over you. They're watching down. So I kind of had this vision of when I go and I hopefully, end up in heaven, and should that situation arise, I definitely want to meet them and so many of my ancestors. So
that's beautiful.
And what a beautiful way to end this segment. And I know we're so appreciative of you joining us and sharing. I mean, considering, how old are you? We didn't even ask that. 17? You're 18?
17.
I mean, how impressive. I know it was really a joy for me, and I know for Sharon too, just to spend this last 45 minutes talking to you, getting to know you better, and sharing who you are with our community and congregation. So
thank you guys very much for considering me and having me. So
absolutely. Well, I kind of have the chills, so that's always a good sign. Jacob, thank you for all your gifts that you bring to this community, and may you go from strength to strength, and maybe in a few years you'll come back, and on Anything Goes. Are we going to be doing this in a few years, Eric? God, I don't know.
We'll have a studio by then.
Yes, I have this vision, Eric, of having like a reunion show, or like we bring back our previous guests, in like 45 years or something like that, and see how everyone's doing. So put that on your calendar, Jacob.
I will.
Very good. Well, to everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us for this past hour. We wish you a wonderful Shabbat and weekend ahead. Again, please join us for services tonight. We have our musical prelude with David York at 5:40, and then services at 6. And just another plug for tomorrow night's Havdalah with Dan Nichols. And we will look forward to seeing you all very soon. And join us next week for our next episode of Anything Goes with Harriet Ellis. Well, thanks again, Jacob. Thanks, Eric. And we will see everyone very soon.
Shabbat shalom. Have a great weekend.
Bye.